Welcome, Strategy Battle Gamers, to another GBHL YouTube channel video. You are here with your GBHL host, GBHL James, joined by a non-GBHL host, but my partner in crime for what's been an awesome weekend. It's Benjamin Bowles, everybody.
Hello.
Also from Manchester, and what we've been doing this weekend?
Been at Stockport in Flames, competing in doubles tournament.
Stockport in Flames, the first ever doubles tournament held in Stockport, run by GBHL, our very own, GBHL Harry and GBHL Jamie. So the purpose of this video, it is a live video because then there is no editing. Well, hey, winner, winner. Janie's out at an Emily Sandé concert. It is me, you, Eleanor, Bilbo sulking in his bed because he's been on the couch like a naughty boy. Don't feel sorry for him, people.
I feel sorry for him.
You do. Soft, soft. So the purpose of this is to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what the tournament was like as a whole, but also an experience of our games.
Yeah.
This was your second ever tournament.
Second tournament. Yep.
But your first doubles event.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So maybe we should talk a little bit first of all about the tournament format and then what we took. So how many points was it?
900 points. So 450 each.
Yep, so we had to take 450 points each. Your army broke as a whole. You had two forces. Each force had a leader, and you could choose between those leaders to be your general each game, as a general kind of rule for army and forces. Hello, Bradato. Oh, we know who that is.
We do indeed. He's told you what that means?
It's Andrew. No, he hasn't. I'll ask
I'll tell
you
you later.
Yeah, tell me later. Thanks for joining us, Andrew. This is a live video, so people can join in with a little bit of chatter if they don't just want to hear our review. And it was a 6-game tournament.
Mm-hmm.
How many attendees in total?
There was 30 teams.
30 teams?
Yeah.
That confirmed?
I'll double check. But I'm pretty sure it's 30 teams.
30 teams, so a busy event. 60 people turned up. And what was really cool to see was there were a couple of people who travelled
28 teams.
28 teams. So a couple of people who travelled from abroad as well. We had a couple of German guys who we'll talk about later because we had the pleasure of being able to play against them, which was really cool. And do we have anybody else? Was there a lad from Poland as well?
I didn't see them, but
Of
it
course,
may well be.
the Scots were down in force.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of Scots.
A lot of Scots as always. That's it, propping up the Great British Hobbit League in terms of numbers, but absolutely not. Eleanor's telling us all about her experience because she's been there all weekend. Now, in terms of the scenarios, they were rolled for randomly, and we had a few different ones in there. So what were the scenarios that we had over there?
So we had Storm the Camps, where you start in 4 different corners.
Yeah.
We had Contest of Champions. We had Domination, To the Death, Divide and Conquer.
Hey Nano Dave, hey Minsky.
Behind Enemy Lines.
Behind enemy lines. So there were some different ones there, and we'll talk about them in a little bit more detail as and when we come to the game. So it was a 900-point tournament, 2 450 points, forces, and we decided to go for Gondor and Rohan. The only way that it was ever going to be. There was a bit of a predicament in terms of choosing the Rohan force from my point of view. It'd been 1,000 points, 500 points each. I've got a very good 500-point Rohan on me, but at 450 it was a little bit difficult, I found, without having the numbers a little bit too low. So we went through a couple of different ideas. We were kind of going between, should we go for kind of an old school? I mean, I've been at one doubles event before, which I don't know if I mentioned, but I won with my partner Jay Acharya. And that we went for Birth of Rohan style list, which was Ale the Young, loads of Sons of Ale, and like a Gondor horde. Now it always made sense for you to kind of bring all of your Gondor.
Yeah,
right? So
absolutely.
What was your list?
So I brought Faramir with heavy armour, shield, lance on horse, with 6 Warriors of Minas Tirith and 6 Guards of the Fountain Court. Brought Beregond with 6 Warriors of Minas Tirith and 5 Citadel Guards with 5 with bows and spears, and last Damrod with 6 Warriors of Minas Tirith and 5 Rangers with spear and bows. What did you bring?
Well, that's pretty standard kind of
Gondor
list. Sort of trying to max out as much as you can with the war bands, maxing out just about I think your bows, cheap might. I mean, basically that the purpose of that half of the force is really to not die, isn't it?
We tried.
Well, yeah, you tried your best sometimes to do the opposite, I think. But the whole purpose of that is to not die, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And
tough defence 6.
Yeah, lots of defence. I mean, you could argue, maybe drop some of the Citadel guard and put in some more Fountain Court, but you actually didn't have any.
Yeah.
You know, we were never really going to be trying to outshoot anything, so maybe you do that from a not dying point of view. Probably a bit more worth it. But a good strong, you know, you had 30.
I think having the bows in there in a couple of games kind of helped us a little bit.
I'm going to disagree. You couldn't kill anything, but we'll come to that.
We'll come to that.
We'll come to that. So that was the Gondor Horde kind of half, and then we had the Rohirrim half, and we were we'd moved away from the idea of doing Ale and a bunch of Sons of Ale. Done that before, you know, wanted to mix it up a little bit, and thought I'd use the opportunity to paint up some of my Rohirrim heroes. So some of you might have seen that on the Great British Hobbit League Facebook page, me giving updates, and also on the Hot Geeks Gaming page as well. I've been putting up some pictures of me painting Theoden. So I had Theoden on horse with armour and shield. Sure, you could take Ale instead, but this was for the theme. We had Gamling, horse and banner. We had Knight of Pelennor was there as well with his armoured horse. We had... You're distracting me, aren't you? We had Eowyn, horse, armour and shield, and that was the all-hero Rohan half, which actually is not bad, depending on what your matchups are, but in quite a few situations it's not actually that bad. So we had one half which was definitely all about holding objectives and not dying, and another half which was more about
fighty, killy.
Yeah, just trying to fight off and hoping you can get in situations where you've got matchups where you can charge in, heroic combat off, and basically kill a bunch in a turn. And kind of, you had Faramir, didn't you, with the lance? He could kind of jump in and be pretty liberal with the might because of Gamling, of course. So game 1 came along, and we drew against.
It's Chris Murphy and Ian McGregor
from Team Scotland, which was cool. And they had really cool army of Thor lists, didn't they? So what was their list?
So they had Thror, Thrain, they had young Thorin, and they had young Dwalin as well. And then just pack that with Warriors of Erebor.
Yep, so we've stormed the camp. The whole idea is that you both start off with 2 corners. They didn't have to be opposite corners, I don't believe. And you have to go, when you get to a situation at the end of a phase where you've got more models, you'd be good all weekend and then you'd all do it now. If you got to a situation where you have more models in one of the sort of quadrants, corners from 12 inches of the board edge, you could take one of those camps effectively. And we were set up in opposite corners from each other.
Yeah.
We were set up in opposite corners. They were set up opposite corners, and yeah. So you had Thor and Thrain and a warband. I think there was 1 or 2 Grimhammers in there, but I think they had two Grimhammers. Rest was Warriors of Erebor. So how did that game go down? What happened in the game? What can you remember?
So you headed straight for top left corner with towards Chris's army. You kind of sort of wiped that out a fair bit. A couple of warbands were sent towards me in sort of the bottom left corner, well, from my perspective anyway, bottom left corner, and I just sort of held on to that. It was actually a really, really tense game, and it came down to the sort of very last turn when we actually managed to break that army, and that meant that we won, but it was literally so close. It was down to the very, very last turn. So yeah, that's kind of.
I'm going to come in stage right now. Sorry for blocking you. There you go, baby girl. Got your butter. I'll keep you quiet. There we go. Give her food, that'll keep her quiet. So yeah, we ended up in a situation, didn't we, where I effectively abandoned one of my corners.
Yep.
And you held your corner but committed some forwards, so we were trying to gang up on one of his and kind of rely on smashing through part of it. He did have leader. Mm-hmm. No, leader was Thorin, wasn't he? Leader was Thorin, not Thor.
Yeah.
But was to go in there and really try and kind of get to grips and maybe wipe that out and break it and have the speed with the Rohirrim heroes to kind of move elsewhere. But the Rohirrim heroes had to burn through a lot of might to get through Thrain, didn't they?
Absolutely, yeah.
And didn't make an easy job of it. And it did look, even though they came in and they took that one, we took over that one in the middle. Faramir had come over, so the one that Thrain and Thor had been in. and it kind of looked like it might be a draw unless we could get the kills done. And recognising that, Ian kind of pulled back a bit, didn't he?
Yeah,
You kind of chased after him because you'd wheeled round, you had the numbers against Thorin. But in the end, we broke them. I think we had two or three more combats left. I think two more combats left, and we had to kill one more. And it looked like we were going to do it because of how it was. But yeah, that was a really
tense, and it was literally
a great game. Really good
really
fun.
Enjoyed that one.
Really like Ian and Chris. So thanks for such a good game, guys. We really enjoyed that, and commiserations. Good to play Army of Thror, and it was the kind of army that you want to see when you go to a doubles game. And it was probably, this is absolutely no offence to any of the guys that we played afterwards, because we've had amazing games all weekend. But it was the only kind of really fluffy, I felt, army that we went up against. So thank you so much for that, guys. Because once we had that game, we then went into game 2, didn't we?
We did indeed.
I say that our second game was
that was fluffy.
That was really fluffy. So we played against a couple of people whose first tournament.
It was, yeah.
Who was it?
It was James Johnson and Laura Nesbitt.
Lovely people.
Yeah.
And then Manchester.
Yeah.
They're Manchester.
Just never even knew they were here.
No, never even knew they were here. So turned up to Stockport in Flames, their first event, which is really cool. I think there were a few new people at Stockport in Flames. So I think doubles is a really great way, especially if you want to build confidence of coming down, meeting everybody, not feeling like you might be on your own, and there's shouldn't be too much pressure on that kind of environment.
Yeah.
So we're playing them, and what did they bring?
They brought another Gondor force as well.
Gondor Horde.
Yep.
More hoardy than ours by a long way.
Yep.
By a long way. Now this scenario that we rolled, they literally had like, all the Gondor. They even had a bolt thrower, didn't they?
Yeah, I'd never seen that play before. We had to check the rules and.
All the time. I always have to check the rules.
No idea what was going on with that, but it was surprisingly effective.
I
think they rolled badly on it. Because they did have a couple. They had a couple of.
The only thing that the thing that they rolled badly on was the number of hits.
Yeah.
I think they three times they only rolled one hit.
Yeah.
But they did get a 6 as well.
True.
But they hit nearly every time.
Mm-hmm.
It was just whether they got the other things. But yeah, we came up against that, and the scenario was rolled, and that was the contested champions one. So the idea of this one was that your leader or your general, would set up. Within 3 inches of the centre of the board, and then if they had a warband with them, they had to be outside of that, but within 6 inches, I believe. And then everybody else had to set up 12 inches from the board edge, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 12 inches from your own. So with that in mind, was it 12 inches from your own? You had to roll, didn't you? 1 to 3, you ended up in the first half, and 4 to 6 anywhere.
Yeah.
4 to 6 anywhere. And so we asked them who their leader was. Of course, our general for this was Knight of the Pelennor. He's your big hero. We asked them who their leader was, and who was it?
It was Boromir.
Oh my days!
We had a bit of a panic.
We did have a panic. Now that panic did die down a little bit when I noticed that Boromir didn't have a horse. That died down, but it did mean that there was always going to come down in that regard, because you get points, don't you, for how many? Yeah, absolutely. So whose general can basically kill more than the other person's general. So in that scenario, what you really want to do is you want to assassinate their general as quick as possible without them being able to retaliate. And if you can obviously do that with your big hero, that's fine. But you need a hero which is able to get 3 or more kills and then sort of get out of there, really. So Knight of the Pelennor was a good shout. And we lost the roll-off, and they moved Boromir away. They moved Boromir and everybody who was in away, which was great. That was a
huge relief when they did that. It was
huge. I mean, to be fair, they would only have been able to get Boromir into combat with Éomer, and then Boromir could have been swamped by the Rohirrim heroes who were up the front. They put some cavalry out on the flank where the Gondor had kind of all got right up to your Gondor had got really close to the buildings to try and sort of take out their Faramir and their cavalry. But with that gave us a great opportunity, really, to do. I think it was the only time we really got the opportunity to do the whole charge in heroic combat with everything, and then do it again. And that got Éomer up on the kills, and it kind of then became a game of us kind of pushing through their flank, Éomer getting enough kills and trying to withdraw out a bit, and then realising maybe in the last 2 or 3 turns that maybe Boromir needed to get in. We kind of wheeled round and had a battle line that kind of ate up
Yeah, and we were sort of we kind of not boxed him in, but we limited him to how many combats he could physically get into, and even though he heroic combated, there was only kind of one other person that he could have gone into then, so it really limited the number of kills that he could get, and I think we didn't have a huge number. I think it was about 8.
Yeah, I think
so. It wasn't.
No, the Pendulum got 8 in the end, and he did lose a combat. We've been very liberal with the might, but I think he lost a combat, and that's when his horse got killed. And I think there was a couple of bits where I thought, might have to be a bit careful here. But they were really fun to play against. They were new, so they were just learning. It was great to see a Gondor horde across the table as well.
Nice looking army that as well.
Very, very nice looking army as well. So we'd like to big thank you to those guys. Really enjoyed that, and that put us on 2 wins, Ben.
Yeah,
2 wins.
Feeling confident.
Well,
until round 3.
So round 3, we were drawn against the Germans, which was amazing. Yes, the Germans. And I would like to point out as well, Eleanor had slept all the way through until this point. So we were drawn against the Germans, which was it Janosch?
Janosch and Pascal.
Pascal. Really nice to play them for the first time. And they'd come all the way from Hamburg, and they directed Manchester.
So it was great. I think they were probably the guys that had travelled furthest, and it was great that they just came just for the tournament. It wasn't as though they were here doing anything else. They'd literally got some flights and come over. So it was really, really great to see them. That scenario was domination. They had a combination of dwarves and elves. So they had Balin in there as some of the leaders. They had Legolas and Horse, and they had the old Thranduil. They started by kind of deploying everybody right in.
I would just like to point out that this was a bad matchup. So that's a competitive army.
Yeah.
You know, and elves, you got all that fight 5. They've got the option to have the Guards of the Gladron Court. Guards of the Gladron Court with the fight 6 hanging around behind.
Everything was defense 7, or all the dwarves were defense 7.
So basically, you know, the defense 7. The defense 7 with the fight 5 behind makes it really hard for the Rohan heroes aren't going to be able to do what they're doing. They're probably going to have to heroic strike to try and get through that. They outnumbered us by quite some because of the cheapness of the heroes, which meant that the Gondor horde isn't going to reliably sit on those objectives. The strength 4 of all of the Khazad means that they should really, like a knife through butter, especially with all the fight 5 behind. Eleanor, don't do that.
You must be involved.
No, I don't think so, Missy. Grabbing the tripod. So all of that strength 4 easily chopping through your defence 6, no problem at all. And of course they've got Thranduil there. Now we're not as bothered about Aura of Dismay because of Erkenbrand, which means you need to keep him safe. You've got Legolas sniping the Rohan heroes' horses, and the ability to do that auto cast Nature's Wrath is going to make it really, really difficult to get in their faces. So we had a little bit of a game plan, didn't we? Going into that, and
we tried to, yeah.
We tried to. So it kind of looked like our Rohirrim heroes were going to kind of face off against Thranduil's bunch, and then we because they're effectively 1 drop at a time, that kind of gave us the advantage to kind of wheel up. So you had an objective in the middle, and then you kind of had the 5 points, but kind of slightly narrow, if that makes sense. So you got your 1 in the middle. So let's say that's the 1 in the middle. There was 1 there, 1 there, 1 up there, and then 1 back here. So we kind of set up Gondor over here.
Yep.
They had some in the middle there, and then they had
a lot of ruins around the middle as well.
There were loads of ruins around the middle.
We weren't able to charge their sort of front lines because they were defending the barriers in the middle.
They were defending barriers in the middle, so that made that really, really tough as well. And what ensued was a pretty bit. It was quite clear, timing-wise, that neither of us, it was 2-hour games, that neither of us were ever really going to break each other. And it really came down. The game came down to. Would they be able to get leader kill points? Would we be able to get leader kill points? I think their general was Legolas.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
was Legolas.
But they kept him tucked
He was well back, and he was sniping. He was just sniping Rohan hero horses who kind of, although they'd fainted and deployed over here, they kind of rushed over towards the Gondor to kind of back them up with might, really, and kind of waiting for an opportunity to counter, which didn't really ever materialise in a good way, really, with that scrap over the barrier. So in the end, neither broke. They had started to chop through. We wheeled round, and we were hoping that we would be able to contest that one in the middle and maybe get enough bodies on that. We had the one that was back in the corner. They had the two there, and they had the one up the top. But we might be able to break through with the pure numbers of Gondor and actually get up and swing past and get on that one. And I thought we might just be able to do that, but it would be a push, be a real push.
Yeah, but they just had any opportunity there was. They were just backing people in there to sort of block.
Up.
Yeah, so we'd had to do a lot of killing to be even to be able to
very,
get
very,
to
it was
to
very
what
clogged
top,
up.
yeah.
And to be fair, it looked like it looked like the one in the middle could go either way until Thranduil did manage to get up. He did his nature's wrath, and that was pretty devastating in the end. But we didn't get broken, we didn't lose the leader, but they did have 3 objectives to our 1, and they had the 1 contested in the middle. So congratulations to those guys, really good playing them, really enjoyed it. I hope that I get the opportunity to play against you in the future. And a very, very strong army, and at that point we were like, ooh, they've got to be...
They mean business, they come here to win.
Well, you look at that and think that's got to be one of the favourites in a doubles event. Surely there aren't going to be many more armies that are as strong as that. In this kind of doubles event, and that was day 1. Short toss, 2 wins and a loss. How did you feel about that?
I was happy with that. Really, really happy to have those 2 wins. Yeah, especially after we'd seen that army. Not that I thought we were definitely going to lose, but it was just such a strong army. I didn't sort of fancy our chances with it, really.
Monkey. So that was it. Now, everybody stayed and they had pizza. That's one of the good things about Element Games Northwest Gaming Centre, which is where it was held. Staff were great as always. Tim's always puts on a good show, Element Games Northwest Gaming Centre. And you've got an option there where you can pay £10 and you can get a beer and a pizza. I didn't do that. I brought Eleanor back home and had a bit of an early night. This is the noisiest singiest that you've been. It is. We brought Eleanor back. You dropped me off nicely, but you actually went back for a drink with everyone, didn't you? And that, of course, is one of the best things about all events, is the opportunity to catch up. And you got chatting to a few faces, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, yeah. It's good.
Cool. So we woke up, day 2, you came to pick me up. We headed down there, and we weren't originally drawn against the Scots, but things got moved around because
people had already faced each other.
And we got moved up, to face against SBG World Champion, minus his cloak, which was a little bit disappointing.
Should have brought it with him.
He definitely should have brought his cloak with him. But you should have brought your sword, to be honest.
I was tempted.
That's why you didn't wound as well, I think.
Yeah, I know.
That's why you didn't wound as well. We'd like to point out as well that throughout the whole weekend, so including on day 1, your ability to wound left a lot to be desired.
Terrible rolling. Yeah. And even when I did roll well, they just rolled better.
Yeah, so versus the Germans were a good example of that. So whenever you actually did roll okay to win a fight, they would roll the 6 as well, which made it very, very, very tough. So yeah, we got drawn against David Reed and James Gilray. Achievement unlocked, buddy. Congratulations. Great. I've never played against James Gilray before. Played against David Reed a few times. Fantastic player. No, it's Daddy, not Mummy. She's at a gig. You're going to come back up. And lo and behold, we look across the table, and what army did they have?
They had elves and Lake Town. Very similar sort of elven army to the day before, but they had Thranduil in there. They had Legolas. And who else did they have in there, heroes-wise?
So they had Thranduil, Legolas.
That was it from elves. Then they had Hilda,
Percy, Gandalf.
Gandalf.
Who's that? Say hello. Yeah. Who's that? Mousy. Yeah, and it was this Lake Town horde and elves, and I looked at you and went,
Could be a tough one.
That's 2 bad matchups in a row. And the scenario was to the death. And both of us had a banner, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Both of us had a banner. Obviously ours is a hero banner, which makes it a bit easier for us. Their leader, they chose Legolas with the elven cloak. That's always going to be really tough to get to. We chose... Who did we choose? Oh, we chose Aemma for that one, didn't we? Knight of Pelennor, with the 3s in the right places, made sense. Now, with the new to the death, you have to deploy 12 inches from your board edge that you select. And both of us kind of duly did that. And then it became very, very clear early on. So I think that they lost priority, and we shuffled so that so that they would have to advance. Well, if they
Towards
advance
us.
3 inches to get their bows in range for the following turn, our back rank would be in range of their front rank, if that makes sense. But their back rank would be in range of our front rank in that case. Yeah. So that's kind of what we did. And when they didn't advance, it became clear that was a game that neither really in game 4 wanted to kind of lose. It was a very kind of, what I guess for a bystander looking at the end of the game and seeing the number of models killed and kind of where it was, might have thought, oh, that sounds like it was an awful game. But for a game which really was a kind of shuffling stalemate, we had a fantastic
really
time.
Good fun. Yeah.
We had a really good time because I mean they're great guys to hang around.
Yeah.
Good to chat. Of course, it makes sense to still play that game. Even though it's kind of, a lot of kind of fidgeting back, no point putting Aomer in harm's way. We kind of I hung him around for a bit for maybe if they did jump out, you could jump in with the Rohan heroes onto one of their flanks and do a bit of killing. But we were never going to break them again with the game time. They had a lot of models. And at the same time, how many did they have to break of ours in the end? Hey Gavin,
They
welcome to
needed
the stream.
22
They
to
need,
break us.
yeah, I mean, how many would we? Yeah, but they weren't anywhere close to
No,
22.
I think it was about 8 or something. That they
Yeah,
killed
maybe
in the end.
if that. I think both of us had killed about 7 or 8 models by the end of the game. That gives you a bit of an idea of that game. Both had a banner at the end, and it became a 1-1 draw. But
We spent 3 points of might that entire game.
now, one thing that we haven't pointed out so far, there were odes of battle, and one of the reasons why we haven't pointed them out is because throughout the whole tournament we forgot them.
Yeah.
All of the time we forgot them. But odes of battle gave you some very set things that you needed to do. So there were things like your hero contests one, or your hero calls a heroic
Strike combat.
and if you did that once, you'd get something. If you did it more than twice, if you successfully did it all the times, you got hard, and they were worth points, and they were the tiebreaker, which becomes important, I suppose, later on. But we forgot them the whole event. We got a few of them, but we didn't really get them.
We got one of the hard ones, I think. Couple of mediums, couple of easies. So.
Yeah, we didn't get one on 2 occasions.
No.
I think. So yeah, I think we weren't all over that side of the game. But really good game, and that really puts you in a good position drawing that game because you hope then that you're not going to draw against something which is going to be really, really, really strong. So we went into game 5 on 2 wins, a loss, and a draw. And who were we drawn against?
We're drawn against Ryan Hinch and Rob White. So you've played against Ryan before, haven't you?
I have on one of the channels, either the GBHL podcast or on Hotgates Gaming. Ryan is a great guy. I love Ryan. He's one of my favourite people in SBG. He's a HGG Patreon for ages. Really supported me. I love that guy. He's just a really top gentleman. And who's his doubles partner?
It was Rob White.
Rob White. I've met him before briefly.
Yep.
But never played against him.
Yep. Nice guy. Really nice guy.
Really, really lovely guy. We'd like to point out they're lovely guys, but what was their army?
Didn't have such a lovely army. They had, was it the Knight of Umbar on Fell Beast? They had Shadow Lord on horse, and who was the other one?
So they had the Undying was their leader.
Undying was their leader, yep, on horse. They had some, was it 12 Corsair Reavers?
No, there's more than that. Basically, they had
a lot of Corsair Reavers. They had
the Taskmaster. So they had the Haradrim Taskmaster, they had the Knight of Umbar, and then they had 8 Watchers of Karna, and then the rest were Corsair Reavers, whatever the max war bands for that were.
So that pure filth then, basically, is what you're trying to say.
Well, very strong. And probably not what I expected to come up against at this kind of event, but fair play. I mean, some people were there to try and win it, and that meant that we'd had 3 really tough matchups by that point. Now, luckily with this one, deployment affected things. So the other half, you had the Shadow Lord on horse and you had the Undying on horse, with a mixture of Morannons and Orcs, whether with spears or shields or whatever else.
So we again, this was one where you deployed in opposite corners.
What was it called? What was the?
It was Divide and Conquer. So this is a new scenario as well, isn't it?
Yeah, this was one that I've not played before.
So you set up in opposite corners again to each other. So we're kind of completely opposite sides of the board to each other. So with the number of models I had, I was pretty much taking up a full corner. You had your heroes all in the other corner. And then when the game started, you headed straight for the corner with all the orcs in it, because we thought that's probably our best.
You've got the Rohirrim heroes kind of had a bit of a choice. You either heroic march up and go towards the centre and try and claim the centre, because most of the VPs in the game are about the centre. And you've got that kind of choice, but then that gives him only one place to really go, which is the centre. So you called a heroic march because those Gondorians have got to get to the centre, because that's the numbers game, and that's where really we had less models than them in total, but you'd hope that the Rohirrim heroes would be able to chop through them round and half and maybe get through and get on the Undying. That'd be the hope at least, right?
Yeah.
That'd be the hope at least. So that kind of went off, and they moved up a little bit with the Reaver Warband, didn't they?
Yeah, and then I think first turn they just kind of moved up the 6 inches, and then they did a couple of marches to get a little bit closer towards the middle. At that point, I'd got my kind of battle line sort of, my shield wall kind of lined up, well, we didn't really sort of fight each other until the very last turn of the game.
Well, with the Gondorians. So
the Gondorians didn't.
The Gondorians, of course, their job was to be in and around the objective, to face off against the Reavers, but not really against, because the Reavers are going to cut through them, even though they're... just started watching James hiding in the back. Hey, Furnace, you alright? I was dealing with Eleanor. Eleanor had a wet bum, so we just had to change that, didn't we? Really good to see you, Mark, at the tournament. I hope you had as good a time as we did. We've had a great time. So there was a situation where you were really just squaring out, and they would have eaten through you. 2 attacks, fight 5, piercing, striking. You've probably not got a great shout, and always had the option with the Knight of Umbar, of course, to get in and jump on a flank. Now he doesn't want to do that too early, I suppose, because you've got a bunch of bodyguard to counter that. But you only have 1 might point there, so maybe they could have been a bit more aggressive, maybe on that half, because you just kind of shuffle towards the middle,
very gradually,
kind of facing off against the Reavers, while the Reavers kind of did then rush in. They did 1 heroic march, I think, with the Taskmaster. But in the meantime, the Rohan heroes were bombing it towards the Orcs, the Rannans, the Undying, the Shadow Lord, and Ryan committed the Knight of Umbar. Gavin has put, is there a big community for this across the pond? Absolutely. Check out the American Strategy Battle Gaming Alliance and speak to Devin Marino. He's a good person to talk to, Gavin. And yes, go Rohan. The Rohan heroes were charging in, but they were using a lot of will to black dart horses, weren't they?
Yeah.
A lot of will. They got down pretty... Oh, in Ireland. There's a huge community in Ireland. Check out the Irish Hobbit League. Speak to David Egan. There's loads. I think there's about 50 Irish coming to Ardacom.
Yeah.
There was last time. Gavin, there's tons and tons and tons of Irish players, so go and check them out. So the Rohan heroes were getting their horses sniped, but generally they did good work.
They did really good work.
And Faramir had kind of gone round to go and help them out.
Yeah. So a load of might over in that corner, and it was just let's just try and chop through those.
And by the end of the game, I mean, horses and stuff had gone, but with various heroic combats and sort of getting through it, and the Undying had kind of whittled down. Shadow Lord only had 3 will, I think, at the end, 2 or 3.
So was there 2 full warbands of orcs?
There are 2 full warbands of
so 24 orcs over there.
Yeah, and I think they were only left with 3 in the end. So it put us in a situation where I think that we were a couple away from breaking them towards the end. Yep. Now we did have a chance to do that with some of the standard, because what he did with his Fell Beast, of course, instead of committing against the Rohirrim, when we did finally in that final turn, could have moved, didn't we?
Yep.
Got in their faces, crowded up where we could. He committed the Fell Beast to compel one of the Warriors of Minas Tirith out. Knight of Umbar got in them, ready to do the heroic combat hurl, hurl, and then hurl again. And he got a very, very good hurl when he did do that.
He did,
down the line.
It's about 8 inches, I think we got it.
Yeah, I think he got 8 inches, which pretty much knocked down, your whole battle line. They only killed 2 from that.
Yeah.
Which was handy.
Good for us.
Which was good for us. But then we did have some situations down the end where we had things trapped and ganged up on, and again, you just couldn't roll to wound.
No. Winning some, but just was not wounding.
It was not wounding, and then really it came down to sort of how many models would be around there at the middle. We weren't going to be able to break them because everything else was sort of down on its bum. They had to make a decision with what to do with the Knight of Umbar. does the Knight of Umbar go and hurl and try and get the kills and get enough kills to get us off? I don't think he would have been able to break us.
I don't think quite. I think we're about 6 off breaking.
I think 6 or 7 off breaking. Was it Eleanor? Are you crawling over there? That's how you crawl. That's how you crawl. You step forward like that, like a big girl. In the bottle. Sorry, my daughter is attempting to crawl, which is quite exciting. There we go. You want to go there and have some more bottle? Yeah, but we had more on the objective, and I think that they needed to. I think we had 18 and they had 10 on the objective at that point, so they had a lot of work to do. They couldn't do it, and it was in the end a famous victory. It felt like for the forces of Hey Quinn, my nemesis. In the end, it was a famous win for the all-hero Rohan and
it was,
and Gondorian. So we were
one that we were going into it were a bit kind of.
It was always going to be tough, yeah. Depending,
Because I've played it against that before, being played by you, and it was just devastating. It just kind of
Obviously, my skill levels, but no, I'm joking. Also, we'd like to point out as well that some of the rolling from Rob was really poor. He had
equalled almost mine as being bad.
You and Rob should never be in a team together because you're rolling. There was a few rolls where he rolled a lot of dice and rolled 3 highest. I think when he had Faramir
trap Faramir. I think he had 6 or 7 orcs on him
at least.
Yeah,
got 3 highest, and he did that a couple of times. So sorry about that, Rob, but really nice to play against you and a really good win. We were dead chuffed with that one. So that meant that we were on 3 wins, a loss and a draw, going into the final game. Now at that point we had to rush off and get Eleanor because we didn't have Eleanor on day 2 until the final game. Turns out Jane was doing ukulele lessons in the morning and wasn't anywhere, as you do. So Eleanor stayed with you. Stayed with Mummy, didn't you? You stayed with Mummy. You stayed with a bottle. Yes, the smiley eyes. And because we were on an equal record as David Reed and James Gilray, and in the last game you don't swap things up. Hey, howdy, 88 evening. Hello, the Hobbit Army Builder Miniatures. Hello. Thanks for joining us. Because it's the last game, you have to play against who you're drawn against. So we knew, again, that's out of, I think, 4 games, really tough matchups in terms of army build.
Yeah.
The first 2 are still tough matchups, but they're more themed, thematic.
Yeah.
A bit more thematic, a bit.
Which I suppose we expected from a doubles tournament.
Yeah,
I think what you would normally expect from a doubles tournament.
I thought we'd see a little bit more than that, but there's not. I suppose. I mean, Ryan made a fair point. He said there's nothing in the rules pack that to encourage you to bring sort of fluff and a theme, which is fair enough. And nothing against those guys. It's prerogative to do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we were quite excited because we'd already had a fantastic game against David Reed and James Gilray, even though it doesn't sound like it was a fantastic game. It was a nice experience. Yeah. So then we were playing against them, and again a scenario I've not played before, and I thought it was a really cool scenario.
Yeah, this is the one that Jamie and Harry made up, isn't it?
Is it? It was. Well done, guys. I thought it was really good. This was behind enemy lines, which is effectively to the death, except you've got 2 zones of where you deploy. So I rolled and got to pick which zones, which halves. And you have one which sets up 6 inches from a back table, and then 6 inches from the centre, but on the other half of the board is your other army.
So in essence, you've got half of your army trapped between the 2 halves of theirs. And you got I think you got 4 VPs if you completely wipe out the trapped army, which is really cool. There were leader ones in there, there was normal breaking in there, and there were banner in there. Mm-hmm. I think that's about it. So it made sense. It's for Aemon to be Knight of the for Knight of Pelennor to be. I say that it might have been a good shout actually to have Eowyn. And just left her.
Yeah. And just left her.
We'll know for next time.
We'll know for Eowyn or even Theoden, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And just because they were never ever going to get up and get them. So of course again you got a situation where the Rohirrim drops basically on that back line. And he deployed all of the Lake Town and Gandalf. Gandalf was their leader on their back line, and then they deployed their elves. They deployed their elves in that centre, in that trap bit, but over by some woods which are over on as far away from the Rohan heroes as they possibly could be. And then you've got the choice then, and I think the Scots probably expected us to deploy down this end and it to be a similar kind of stalemate where it went round.
Yeah. We didn't.
No, we didn't.
Right in their faces.
Yeah. Now there were some reasons for that, weren't there?
Yeah.
Really, his album force, although it's got a lot of tools, it's relatively small. The numbers were coming from the Lake Town, so although that they're pretty good from an attrition point of view, your 36 Gondorians or 34 Gondorians with 3 heroes should attrition that should do,
because we'd have had 2 or 3 turns of combat before the Lake Town would have
easily, yeah,
sort of closed with us. So
yeah.
We thought it was a pretty good chance.
So there's a reasonable chance, and by that time as well, the Rohan heroes should be up. So they'd heroic marched up to be behind. I mean, they only got in really on the last turn, and we did start getting through. There were a few heroic move offs and the like, but when they were winning the fights. You know, you hope we're relying on that defense 6 if you're doing that attrition. So they should win more fights, but we should kill more often when we win the fights.
Yeah.
So from an attrition point of view, I think the defense 6 kind of wins out, and it wasn't kind of good. They were eating through. They were eating through.
They were, yeah.
They were quite bold with Gandalf. Gandalf came up.
Yeah.
Came up with them. I thought that they might kind of keep him back out of the way, but they came in and did a couple of blasts and the like. And then going into the final, I think the second to last turn, Thranduil did he moved and knocked people over.
Yeah. And there was
before that, and they killed a lot.
There was a lot of death then.
There was a lot of death then, but it looked pretty good for us on one side of the wood. We kind of ate through the elves on that side. It was an equalish kind of kill count, but they had higher numbers.
Yeah.
Anything else you can think of off the top of your head? At
that one. No. It was...
Basically, it got to a point I managed to kill the banner, jumped in with Rohan heroes and killed the banner in the second to last turn.
And like, both of us kind of thought that we might have had a chance of breaking each other, really, as well, didn't we? There was
breaking each other. Yeah, we weren't a million miles off them in the end. I think we were 6 or 7 off them right at the end, and they had a better chance. I think they had to kill 6 going into the last turn, whereas at the end of ours, I think we needed to kill 6 or 7 more. And they just at that point, that's when they had a lot of their bad luck. Luckily, their banner as well, was always in base contact, so we were never going to get the points through that. At that point, it was more of a case of okay, we don't want to die, but in the ones that we don't want to die. Shield where you need to shield. But then try and maybe chip away and get the kill in. But it was more about not dying and not giving away the loss. And in the end...
That game overran by quite a bit as well.
It overran by quite a bit, but there was a lot to do going. I think that the last turn was started with about 10 minutes to go or something. And there's a lot to do, a lot to get through, a lot to move, lots of models still on the table. So it took a while, but it was another draw. Well, it was a really great game again.
Yeah. Really enjoyable.
Really, really, really enjoyable. So the Rohan Hero and Gondor Horde finished on 3 wins, finished on 2 draws and 1 loss.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Not
well
bad at
done.
all.
Well done, buddy.
Well done, you did most of the work.
Well, this is your second tournament, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's your second ever tournament, and you did say going into this,
I wanted a bit of coaching and a little bit of kind of support and. You were asking me at times like, right, what would you do next? And my ideas probably didn't fit in with your ideas, but obviously, when I sort of thought about what I would have done, probably wouldn't have been the right choice. So it was good to have that bit of coaching and sort of watching how other people play and actually having that mentoring was really, really good for me. Yeah,
I think it can be one of the good things about doubles as well. If you're partnering up with that, you always got to be conscious when you're doing that mentoring. You don't want to fully take over. You're aware sometimes that. Especially if, let's say, for example, you're calling the heroic move because you've seen certain things, then it makes sense for you to kind of do the micromanagement a little bit because you've seen how to do it. And I think the micromanagement side of the game is something which tends to come with a bit more experience, I think. Jez, hello! We had a great time. We got 3 wins, 2 draws and 1 loss, which put us in 8th position.
8th place.
8th place.
Out of 30, so...
Yeah, and we were below James Gilray and David Reed, who were on exactly the same record. The tournament had a situation where a win was 5 points, but a draw was only 1. So that meant that the draws didn't equal a win, which obviously then quite tough.
Yeah.
But it did mean that David Reed, they came ahead of us because they did more rows. We forgot about our rows most of the time. Yeah, we were very, very, very chuffed with that. But most importantly, we've had a great
weekend. I'm shattered now, But
I'm
yeah,
pretty
really good weekend.
I'm pretty tired. I'm looking forward to going and again. I've just had a little bit, so you need to go and get some tea.
Yep.
I'm gonna bath Eleanor and get Eleanor to bed. But a really great weekend. So massive thank you to all the staff at Element Games as always. To Harry and Jamie. You won something in the raffle as well. Oh, we both did.
Yeah.
So it was a really good raffle. You got the top prize.
I did. So a Weta Workshop book with like props and stuff in it.
Eleanor
Amazing.
did me a solid as well. Because they were going around getting people to pick, and they asked Eleanor to go down, so I'd like hovered her over the bucket, and she went down and she reached down. She didn't grab one, but she had touched one, so it was like, okay, yeah, she touched that one. Walking back round, they called out the number. No one's owning up to it, and it's us. And
tell us what you won. Amazing prize.
Well, it depends. I don't know.
Priceless, some might say.
£40 worth of
Steve Crow vouchers.
Steve Crow vouchers. I might swap that in for a few brunches from him, to be honest.
Right.
I might say, look, should we get 40 quid's worth of brunches in there? But nice to catch up with everybody. I mean, that's the best thing about these events, isn't it? Rigged raffle. Jamie repaying the Scots for letting them win their event.
Yeah, the Scots won a lot of prizes.
Yeah, Chris Murphy always wins prizes.
I always win top prizes though.
In the two events that you've been to,
Yeah.
that's certainly true, because you won Boromir's Sword at Ardacon. We've had a great event. Any closing notes?
No, I just loved it. I'm really looking forward to next year to get into a few more tournaments and stuff.
Yeah, it was great from my own point of view. Great to roll some dice. Got to spend lots of time with Eleanor as well. She was with us all day on day one.
And she was great.
And
She's making more noise now than she did
the whole weekend. The whole weekend. And she's having a good time over there. And she's tired. You tired?
We all
Yeah,
are.
that's a big smile. That's a big smile. So yeah, thank you to everybody who was involved in it. Thanks to all of our opponents. We had a great time. The chap who got what was his name? Who got the he got most sporting, got the wooden spoon, and got best painted.
Yeah, it was their first SPG tournament.
That was it.
Yeah.
They turned up with beards and chef outfits.
Yeah.
Who was it?
It was Ben.
Ben. It was Ben, wasn't it, Eleanor? Not this Ben. Oh, you can see it. She's got a massive
Ben
smile.
Bailey.
Ben Bailey. There we go. So they did well on that front. And then in the end, in terms of the tournament rankings, the only team to topple all mounted Rohan Heroes and Gondor, the Germans took it. Great work,
Well done,
guys. Went home with the prizes. Very good army and good players as well. So well deserved in that regard. Second place went to
Jay Finnegan and Steve Crow. Although Jay Finnegan wasn't even here.
No, unfortunately, Jay Finnegan's lad wasn't very well, so he had to get off, which meant that Alan Liddell came and carried Steve to second.
Yeah.
They had a really good army as well. They had loads. They had Goblin Town Horde.
Yeah. It wasn't
70 odd.
filthy or anything. It was like a really kind of
It was a lot of goblins.
Yeah, it was a lot of goblins.
And what was it allied with?
Gundabad. I think it's bold.
Yeah, good. It's a good army. It's a
Yeah.
very good army. But well done to those guys. Super good. And in third place,
It was world champion Ed Ball.
world champion Ed Ball, who brought a couple of chariots.
Yeah,
and
champions Gandalf.
chariots and all hero. Gandalf, Legolas. Jess had sense. I'm so impressed by the international nature of SPG. Amazing. As we wrap up this video, this is probably a good opportunity to say to you guys as well, if you haven't already picked up King Boneseye, is this replacing the Speak Friend and Question for this week? Yes. Yeah, if you want to ask a question, ask it quick. You've got 12 minutes. 12 minutes to ask questions. 12. Oh, you're tidy, bunny. I'm going to go. If you want to ask any questions, you can ask Ben. But Ben, you might as well tell these guys about Ardacon deposits and what's going on at the moment.
Cool.
Oh, come on.
Alright guys, Ardacon deposits, you still got, I think, 2 weeks to get your Ardacon deposits in. October 31st, so that's not 2 weeks, wait, it's about a week. Less than 2 weeks. And then you've got to pay the rest of the ticket by the 5th of November off the top of my head. So the deposit's £20, the rest is £60. What the deposit will get you is... Steve, thanks, Steve. Appreciate that. what was I saying? Yeah, if you do pay your deposit, you will that guarantees you your swag bag. If you pay after the 5th of November, you will no longer be able to pick up a swag bag, and they will be good.
Yeah, after the 31st.
After 31st, sorry.
Yeah, so basically we've had a pre-sale, which has given everybody an opportunity. King Ardacon is a Hobbit SPG committee. Somebody asked a question, did they? Thanks for answering that. Answering that, King Boneseye. It is really big. Yes, it is. It's huge. It's huge. So the first year we had 144 players. Originally we'd had like 180 odd players, but we had dropouts in the run up towards it. And with spectators and stuff, that went up. When, not what, but cheers. Ardacon next year is the 17th, 18th and 19th of August 2018. That's the 17th, 18th and 19th of August. So what is the Thursday night plans for Ardacon 2018 from Stephen Bonar? Thursday night plans, I think, getting on it. Quinn says points precious. Now we will be announcing things like your points values reasonably. So I know it's a long way away, like a long way away until the event, but we will try and get those done in advance. However, we're just waiting for a couple of things. We've got a couple of meetings that we're going to have before we confirm those things. These are going to be important meetings just to make sure that some things in the games aren't going to change too much by next year. But everybody should know those in advance. And what I would say is don't expect anything drastically different from last year. It will be different, but don't expect anything drastically different unless we know that the game is going to change hugely. So that's what I would say in terms of points values. So we've run a pre-sale which has gone absolutely crazy. If you want a swag bag, you need to pre-order. So you need to buy your tickets up to and including the 31st of October. Now you can also, if you have bought a pre-order, you can get a refund up until that point as well. After that point, the £20 deposit is non-refundable, unfortunately. And if you have paid for a deposit, you have to make sure that you pay the full balance by the 5th of November. Okay? So that is all of the information about Ardacon.
That's pretty much it.
Pretty much it. It looks like we're going to sell out of the international allocation. If you're an international player and you're not sure, more game related, sorry, question, you can get that up on your phone if you want. So if you get the live stream up on your phone, you should be able to see the chat. Give us a second if you are answering questions, because they only flash up on the screen for a very short period of time and then they go off. So we'll just finish talking about Ardacon first of all. So yeah, what was I saying about Ardacon? Oh, international allocation. If you're from abroad, there are 108 places available for people abroad. And I think we've already sold nearly 90 of the international allocation. Yep. I think somewhere around there. And there are about 3 teams that are looking to get involved that haven't. And there are people still on teams who haven't paid but who are registered with Andreas. If you are looking to come from abroad, I suggest very quickly that you do this now, because those are going to be gone. The international allocation will go, at which point we might have to start eating away at the domestic allocation. Now, for those of you who think there's 228 places for Ardacon 2018, in theory, that's how many people we can get in if we ram all of the tables and the like. However, if it doesn't look like we'll get close to that, then it makes sense for us to invite some of our partners at Element Games or the like to maybe run an X-Wing event or Steamforge to run a Guild Ball event and share some of that allocation. So we do need to have a good idea by Christmas of whether we would even get close to that or not. If we don't think that we are, then we'll release that. But it would be amazing if we could fill it with SPGers. So those of you that are holding off, it might be an idea to do that just so that everybody gets that allocation. Because
we don't want you guys to miss out. You know, if I know we're saying that there's 220 or potentially up to 228, but that's not guaranteed. The numbers may drop, and obviously we don't, depending on Element Games and things, we might not be able to give you a lot of notice on that. So you know, if you're only checking in on GBHL every couple of weeks or something, then we don't want you to miss out on tickets.
Now, if you're unsure on how to get tickets for Ardacon 2018 or to get some of the information of it, of course we do have the Ardacon SPG International 2018 Facebook group. If you're not on there, just click on it and apply to join and I'll add you into it. But we've also got the website www.ardaconsbg.com, ardaconsbg.com. You register on the site. If you've not registered on the site and you just want more information, just register on the site. By registering doesn't mean that you have to buy, of course. Okay, that's something that you can think about. So again, we would love it. We'd love to fill it with 228 strategy battle gamers. We need to have an idea about whether that's achievable or not, which we need to know really by Christmas. You know, so if you've not got your tickets, get it. And if you want a swag bag, and swag bags are going to be even more awesome this year because we have someone whose sole, well, you've got two big jobs, who 50% of their sole reason for existing is
is to make sure you've got amazing swag bags.
Yeah, amazing swag. The swag is going to be incredible. Some of the things that Ben has shown me already are just wow. So if you would like to get a swag bag, get your deposit booked in. Just get it in. You know, it's 20 quid. It's 20 quid. You know, fingers crossed that you can make it, and that you know that you can make it by the end of October. Okay, guys, that's enough about Ardicon. Let's have a little look at some of the questions.
So, question from Gavin, more game related. Sorry, question. If Shaman cast Fury and says a captain in range takes 2 wounds, does the captain get to roll 2 dice with Fury to avoid wounds before using Fate?
Yes.
There you go.
There you go. In pure, that was old school. That was like when me and Jamie used to do Speak Man the Question, and like I'd be there going blah 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 blah, just waffling. Oh, Eleanor's crying. I have to go up and get her. But then Jamie would just say yes. More questions?
King Boneseye, just make the summer holidays in England for Ardcon. It is during the summer holidays. Jez Hunt, I'm plotting leather stuff. Yes, absolutely. I've been in touch with Jez. Jez is a really sort of excited for being at Ardcon. He's working on some leather pouches, leather dice trays. So this stuff is going to be there for, available for you guys to buy. So really, really excited to see some of the stuff that's coming from him. Haldir88. Unfortunately, it's going to be in Japan, but it sounds like there won't be any spaces anyway. Gus, you can't be there, but I'm sure you'll have an awesome time in Japan. Kim Bonesay, you've answered a previous question. Steve Bonar, will you or Andreas be doing live games again? I would imagine so. I can't see why we wouldn't be doing that. I don't want to commit to it, but I can't see why we wouldn't be this year. Will we be able to come as spectators again next year? Absolutely. So there are I think the spectator tickets have gone on sale now.
No, the spectators tickets will go on sale on the 31st.
They'll go on sale on the 31st, but you can just turn up on the day and pay for a ticket then as well if you wanted to. This year we're hoping for loads and loads of stands and stalls and stuff for you to come and buy stuff from. So we're gonna sort of really put the convention into Ardicon. So we're really, really looking forward to that, and that's the other part of my job as well.
That is a massive poo.
Thanks for that. Making sure there's
live streaming,
it's
changing a baby's poo.
It's just what everyone wants to hear from you. So yeah,
smell this, guys.
Okay, it hasn't hit me yet, but I'm sure it's terrible.
It's an adult one, this one.
But yeah, we're really looking forward to having all the stands and stalls and stuff there. So yeah, please come along as a spectator. There'll be loads for you to see, loads for you to do. Gavin, you're welcome. Steve's put a link in the show notes, so if you guys want to go and have a look at the website, the link is there. No, we made sure this one wasn't on Heartgates Gaming, Steve, so yeah, cheers. It's on the right channel this time. Haldi88, and how is it with the team? So each team can be up to 9 people, I believe. And then there's team rankings based on how all the members of those teams do. So last year it won by Wanderers in the Wild.
Wanderers in the Wild.
Yeah, they won.
Team Knots in second again.
Team Knots in second. Team Manchester, I think, came about 13th or something.
Yeah.
But no, really, really... it kind of gives you a different sort of dynamic to it, and what I really enjoyed about the team aspect of it was that after the games you're all coming together and sort of seeing how everybody had done, and it just kind of gave it more of a sense of community rather than you weren't just there competing on your own. You were competing with everybody else to sort of to try and kind of win that team prestige as well. So yeah, the team aspect is really, really cool. No, it wasn't me that had a massive poo, it was Eleanor.
I think you need to go and change your bum,
yeah.
Benjamin Bowles.
Yeah.
That stinks.
Steve Bonner, I'd like to say the current pack was great and would be very to return with it as it if the new game rules don't change too much.
Exactly. I mean, I think you guys understand there are going to be some big, well, We have to confirm how big some of those changes are going to be. If the game in its core mechanics isn't going to change much, and anything that's going to affect army building from like a points point of view, like crazy points point of view, but you never know. So we just got to confirm a couple of those things first. But don't expect it to be too different from last year in that regard, unless things are going to be really different. What we don't want to do is, of course, make announcements. I mean, it is really early. It's 10 months in advance. I know that we're asking people to pre-order and the like, which is why some people might be like, well, we want to know what points are. We might not pre-order unless we know the points, which is fair enough. You know, some people might not want to. But yeah, I mean, we don't want to make an announcement and then our rules pack be out of date before the tournament comes. We just don't want to do that because then some people might say, well, we bought...
Message you around.
Yeah, message you guys around. You know, some of you might say, well, we bought it, that it was on the premise of this. You know, we'd rather just know for certain before we give you guys the details. So don't expect it to change too much.
To be honest, whether it's 600 points, 700 points, 800 points, whatever it's going to be, it is going to be fun.
It's going to be amazing.
Get involved.
Yeah,
Please get involved.
Absolutely get involved.
Another question from Steve Bonner. Is there a restriction on the amount of teams from a given nation? No. I think Norwegians have got 3 teams.
Yeah, I think the Dutch are going to have 2 or 3 teams. There's no restriction on the number. This is an inclusive event that everybody can come and get involved in. You know, just like any Swiss ranked event, the main grand tournament, the World Team Championships, is as competitive as you are, really. So I think absolutely last year was the most competitive event I've ever witnessed, but from a good point of view. The games and the matchups, it was just incredible. It was amazing. It was wonderful as somebody who was TOing to be able to watch that. I mean, you know, whoever won that as the champion and whoever won that as a team fully deserved it, because the quality and the standard, I mean, you should have just seen it. It was incredible. But at the same time, for people who are going there and want to play fluff, and you know, Swiss ranking means that you end up playing against people who are there for the same reasons of you. So
and that's what I really enjoyed about it as well. As my first tournament, I turned up there kind of not really knowing what to expect. And actually, because I didn't do too well in a couple of my early games, I ended up on the lower tables.
I
think we got a new host here. Because I ended up on the lower tables, I was playing against sort of fluff and people who were there just for fun. So I got some really, really fun games in as well.
Sorry,
you're distracting me. So just get involved. You know, I'm so sorry if I offended you in some way.
I don't know, was having fun, weren't you?
Getting the look of death here. So yeah, I really kind of enjoyed myself just for that from that aspect. James, will the beard return for Ardacon?
No.
I think you've been told you're not allowed a beard anymore, haven't you? Under the thumb.
I'm not allowed a beard. And that's about as long as it's ever going to get. Until, I don't know, we'll have to see. We'll have to find something. So you'll be very pleased, Jez, that Eleanor is actually spelt in the Tolkien way, just like the flower. And just like Samwise Gamgee's daughter. So Eleanor with an A. And I know you're a big fan of Middle Earth, Jez, so I know that you'll be pleased with that. You're saying hello.
She's loving it.
I'll try and find a loophole, Stephen. I'll see what I can do. Any more questions?
So do you think there'll be an SVG? We'll get an overhaul by then? Yeah.
Well, we're expecting there to be some changes next year and potentially maybe a new rule. But remember, August is quite far into the year, so whether we'll have it by then or not, we're not too sure. It's just the reason why we've got to be I think that you make the fair assumption that SBG, and I think Adam Troy and the Middle Earth team have mentioned this before, that they're very happy with the system, and it's one of the best gaming systems that has ever been written by a Games Workshop, and not to expect it to change too much. But at the same time, we have seen absolutely huge overhauls with Warhammer 40k and with Warhammer Fantasy, now Age of Sigmar. So with that in mind, because they're huge changes. They changed everything, not just changing little bits. And we just don't want to risk that there would be any kind of change like that would then outdate our pack so far in advance of when it was, and we then have to change it. So we just have to try and confirm some of those things, I suppose, a little bit. But that's where we are. That's where we are. Last questions?
I
more?
think in terms of questions, that's about it. Green Tree, hi all, I'm a complete SBG noob.
Welcome to the community.
I've never played a war game
you're in the
unless you
loop.
count Hero Quest back in the day.
Ah,
Get
good
involved,
stuff.
man.
You love anything Tolkien, Lord of the Rings related? You've got a collection of miniatures. You love building scenery. Wonder if there's anything at Ardacon for you. Was it just for the hardcore? Absolutely.
There's something for everyone at every level of the hobby there. You know, there were some people that turned up that had only played a couple of games, so you know there were people sort of coaching.
You'd only been at one tournament.
Yeah, a very small tournament. It was like a little local one.
That doesn't even count as a tournament, really.
So you know, I was a bit of a noob going to that. So you know, it is for kind of every skill level. So yeah, just get involved. Steve Bonner, isn't it past your bedtime then? Yes, it is. I'm very, very tired. So I've been gaming all weekend. So yeah, I'm tired, and it is well past my bedtime.
We're having a great time. Yeah, there's something for everyone. You've got Chaos and Arda as well, which is a really fun 4-way battle royale style game. There's doubles there as well. If you don't know anybody in SBG, we're more than happy to partner you up with somebody, which would be great.
There's a lot of people that played that had not really kind of played competitively before that. You know, we found somebody, a partner kind of, you know, through GBHL Facebook page and things like that. So yeah, absolutely get involved. Jez Hunt, Green Tree should be there with Tolkien leatherwork and a head full of Tolkien. So yeah, Jez is a big come and nerd out. Absolutely, yeah. Jez is a big lover of Tolkien, so he's going to be there. So yeah, it's even if you're not going to play, it is worth coming along for a day or so just to have a look. And obviously, if you like the look of SPG, then get involved.
Stephen Barnard said, any suggestion to not get a negative score in Chaos in Arda? So last time there was a way, we wanted to encourage people to bring theme, and you go round and you vote for the army that you think is the least themed, and they get a minus from it. I think that on the whole, that was fine on the whole, but it did mean that there were a couple of occasions where people weren't picking based on how filthy armies were or anything. Not that there were many in Chaos in Arda, but we're actually picking based on who had the perceived higher player skill, which then makes it a little bit not great for some people. So maybe you do it where you vote for who has the best themed army on your board and they get plus points, or you rank the armies or something like that. I'm not too sure. We'll work something out. But that was a suggestion from a couple of people last year. So that's cool. That's it. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to go and give Eleanor a splish splosh, and you're going to go and get your own splish splosh.
I'm going to get my own splish splosh.
Just get yourself some food. So yeah, guys, as ever, I hope you enjoyed our tournament review, and then our chatter at the end just kind of like turned into half Speak Friendly question, half Ardacon promo, as well as talking about the amazing Stockport in Flames that we've just done. Don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe. Support your Hobbit hosts by checking the links in the video description below. Remember, that now includes using the link. You can see it on Hotgates Gaming if you like the Facebook page. There's a link which gives you discount for Element Games. If you use that link on Hotgates Gaming, it also helps me and my channel. So do go and check that out. That's a new inclusion. Make sure you do like our Facebook pages and that you follow us on Twitter. Support your Hobbit hobby.
And happy strategy battle gaming.
He did it. See you later, guys. Bye-bye. Bye. Say bye-bye.